And we are on.
We are live.
Right. Hi. So, go on, Pernilla.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the adventure of living abroad hangout with me and Junaline. My name is Pernilla Hermersson, and I moved to Bali from Sweden, and I've been here since the end of July. And me and Junaline started talking, and we created this hangout because we noticed that there's not a lot of hangouts and meetups for expats. So, Junaline, hey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, hello there. Hi. Hi, my name is Junaline, and yes, I'm actually from Canada. I was born in the Philippines and Canadian who just live everywhere in the world, and I ended up in Lebanon. Ta-da! My husband is, I found my husband here, so this is where I am. And we were just actually, it was just, this creation just came out of something fun. Me and Pernilla were just chatting one day, and we thought, okay, let's just, welcome everyone to this chat, this conversation on what it's like to live abroad. We're going to be talking about our experiences, and you are also welcome to chime in and share your experiences. And, we're just a bunch of friends getting together today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Junaline, I know you lived in so many different countries. Do you want to tell us, shortly a little bit about, cool countries you've lived in and stuff like that, or whatever pops for you?
You know what? Actually, I have loved every single one of them. I have made, I made the most of where I lived. So there was nothing that I didn't like. I just chose these countries and I moved there and I loved it. So when I was when I was little, I grew up in the Philippines, and it wasn't my choice to come to Canada, but that's another story. It's okay. It's great. I mean, my dad took us there. It's good. Thank you, Dad. And then when I grew up, I wanted to explore the world apart from what's in Canada, I always felt like there's so much more to explore. And my life took on this international flavor of not only traveling, but actually living abroad. All these years I was working, of course, in Canada, and I was teaching English at one point. One of the many careers I did was like an English teacher. So I was teaching immigrants in Calgary. And I was really fascinated by people coming from different countries and to hear their stories about, their countries, their lives. And it's like, wow, what would it take for me to experience something different apart from my own? So this is I've always been like this. I was really curious. And so when I had a chance, I took my class. When I finished my degree, I set off to travel. So my first living abroad in a way was like a 2-month stint in Mexico. You see, from Canada to Mexico. And at that time I was interested in Spanish also, so I wanted to practice and all that. So I lived there for some months teaching English, and I loved it. I thought, I'm going to stay in Latin America. But as luck would have it, it never shows up the way you think it does. So I ended up getting a job with the Ministry of Education in Japan after that. So from Mexico, I went to Japan. I had no idea about that culture at all. Nothing. No interest whatsoever. Just kind of ended up there in the country. And I ended up staying there for 10 years.
What was that like to be in Japan? Wasn't that a big culture?
It was so different. It's actually very, very different culture, different from what I've used to anyway, from what I grew up with as a Filipino and then as a Canadian. And then, I had an idea what Latin American countries were like, but Japan, it was just amazing. It was so different, yet I loved everything about the culture. Yeah. It's a different way of living over there and different way of thinking. Yeah. And then from Japan, 10 years there. I had this wanderlust, I just couldn't get my feet like, okay, where to next? I knew there was so much more to see in the world, and it's not for me just for traveling. I like to live there.
Yeah.
I like to live in, like to just kind of like soak it in, not understand, but just get the energy of what it's like to be a local.
Yeah.
And so in fact, most of my friends I would make were locals. I would not really necessarily hang out with, foreign people. There's that kind of gathering, but I tended to hang out with local people. Not only for the language, but the culture. You just get there, you just get in. And you have this sense of belonging and a sense of appreciation for the culture that you're living in. Like we always have, like, okay, expats as such as us, sometimes we'll go on these bitching sessions about our host country, which is normal. But a lot of people also will just tend to like congregate within their own, group and not spread out. I went against that because I wanted to really enjoy all the countries I've lived in. So after Japan, I got itchy feet. I thought I would try to do something else. After 6 months of sabbatical in Canada, I thought, what is it like to live in a culture, an Islamic culture this time? And what would it be like for a woman? Just, yeah. Mind you, I always live in these countries and I always move by myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I always live alone. I did not know any people wherever I would live. I would move. I just go there with my suitcase and establish a life there.
Really cool.
So when I got this awareness that I'm going to go next to another country, and I was being pulled by the Middle East, because it's different from what I'm used to. Again, it's like I wanted something different. So when I was pulled in by the Middle East, I was actually looking for a teaching job. And that's the beauty of teaching English, by the way. It was my ticket to live all over the world, like with a job and things like this. And like, it's like an excuse. Oh, contract is up, go to another country or whatever like that. I just ended up in Japan for as long as I did because, as you know, if you stay for a long time in a particular country, you become a citizen kind of that place, and you start your life there. You have your friends there, you have relationships there, you have all kinds of things going on there as if that's your life. But in my case, it's like time for change again.
Yeah.
So I ended up in Oman. And actually, the reason I got to Oman was not because I wanted to go to Oman. I just wanted to see what it's like to live in an Islamic country. I just wanted to challenge myself to experience something like that. Yeah. I wanted to actually, in a way, dispel this notion that about Islam. Like, I had no idea about Islam, by the way. I was born a Catholic, and but I wanted to understand that why us Westerners or whatever had so much of this stereotype or prejudice against Muslims and Islam, and the whole thing. So my thing, I wanted to experience something different, and because I always felt that there's good in everybody. So then when I was in Canada, I was hanging out at home for 6 months after my stint in Japan, and I was studying all kinds of courses at the same time, transitioning to a new career from teaching to coaching. Yeah. So, and then someone told me, okay, there's a job in Borneo. I said, yeah, okay, great. I'll apply in Borneo. And it's also, it's like, it's an Islamic country. And I'm like, I'll go to Borneo. It'll be closer to the Philippines. It'll be nice to visit the home country. Yes. But then I applied there. They said to me, sorry, we don't have any more opening, but would you like to try our office in Oman? I said, where is Oman? I really did not know where Oman was. I thought it was in Africa. So I looked up in the map, and oh wow, in Oman, it's between UAE and KSA, Saudi Arabia. I'm like, okay, what's that like? So
To be honest, I actually looked it up too after you said to me that you lived in Oman. I was like, looking it up.
yeah, so I applied for a job there in Muscat. Muscat is the capital, and wow, when I landed in that country, it was like landing in a kingdom. It was so different. All whites, and all the men were wearing a white. They call it disdasha, like the white robe with this cap, and all the women were wearing black, the black abaya with like the hijab and everything like that. So it's like the black and white contrast. When I arrived in this country, it was like, wow, so neat. And it's like a uniform, like their uniform. And that was, and it's like, it's so hot because it's the desert.
Oh,
It
wow.
was a desert. It was the desert. But yeah, so I ended up going there and actually loving it there. I discovered a beautiful country, and then I learned about Islam. I learned about how actually we are all really the same. There's no, and it was interesting for my students, the female students that would actually teach me like the abaya style, the hijab, different fashion on how to wrap your head and things like that. I started an appreciation for that, what they're wearing. It's actually a sign, it's an empowerment symbol to wear all that. Yeah. Yeah, so it was very interesting to live in this culture as well. Yeah, Oman. It's a really really nice country. It's very safe for a woman to travel there by yourself. I lived there on my own, and they're very respectful. The Omanis are very very respectful. And actually, I find that when you live in Arabic countries, the men respect the women a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really cool. And then while I was studying life coaching, I was getting into the whole healing and coaching business. This is how I met my husband, who is Lebanese. And this is how I ended up here. 2 years after in Oman, I came to Lebanon.
And you're
Well,
enjoying
I'm
your life
simplifying the story now, but it's longer than that. Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and it's I never really had that much problem like in adjusting to different cultures, because for me I think it's more like I was really open to getting to know the locals, getting to know the culture and the locals, and like traveling in like non-touristic places, and really getting friendly with the local people, and language never bothered me, even if I don't understand
Oh.
wherever I'm going. I'm talking about not just, like the living in these countries, but like traveling. We travel and to different countries, we don't understand any languages. It for me, it was never a problem. There is this. There's hands. Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of like in a nutshell of where I am. And now I'm in Lebanon, and who knows where to next. I've been here 5 years now.
Mm.
What else is possible?
Yeah.
Yeah. The world really is our oyster.
Yeah, that's really becoming clear to me. It's really our playground, and it's really
Yeah.
just a choice away. Like when I'm posting pictures from Bali, people are like, "Oh, I wish I could be there. I wish I could do that." And I'm like, in my world, it's like, but it is actually just a choice. And people can get a little bit upset when you talk about that everything in your life is just a choice. But and it wasn't like I overnight decided to move from Sweden to Bali. It was actually a longer process than that. But from the outside, it might have looked like I just quit my job and left. But I was actually looking back at, like, I had created like a vision board where I wrote down energies and things I wanted to create in my life.
Cool. Cool.
And when I look back at it, I actually had written down Bali, and it was so interesting because I'd never been here before, and I just knew that I was going to go here. And people are like, what, you're moving to a country you've never been? And that's it. Like when you trust you and you trust what you know, you're just going to start going places. And that's my number one tip, just to start going places. And you don't have to have the point of view that you're going to be there for a long time or be there forever. I'm already having plans on going to Australia at the end of November, and I haven't even told anyone this yet. So you guys are the first one who hears about this. But at the end of November, I'm going to go to Malula Bar in Australia because I have friends and people I really like there.
Great.
Yeah. So life can really be an adventure if we're choosing it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly.
But what I've noticed when I told people that I was moving, because Sweden is a pretty cold country and people like get a little bit jealous because it's so warm and tropical here, you know. And what I noticed was that it brought up so much for people that I was going. And what I realized, it had nothing to do with me. It was their judgment of why they couldn't go. They were talking to about me.
Yeah.
So when you're making big lifestyle changes, it is going to bring up stuff for people, and you're just going to have to be confident in you and keep choosing what it is you would like to choose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I know it's all about our choices. It's really about choosing what work for you, what, you know, essentially it's like, what will make you happy? What contribution is this choice going to be in my life? You know, looking back, I never really planned anything. Like, okay, when I grow up, actually, whatever I wanted to be, it didn't happen. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a newscaster, but maybe all of this is happening in a different way. You know, it comes in different package these days. But like you also, I created a vision board.
Cool.
Vision boards, by the way, they're amazing. They're magic. If you have never done that, well, you know, create some magic with the vision boards. Actually, I actualized many things from a vision board.
Cool. Yeah, it's so just like the power of writing stuff down is what I talk about too. Like when I go back and look in my journal, because I live by something called ask and you shall receive. I believe that if I ask, I will also receive. So when I go back and I look in my journal, I'm like, whoa, that showed up and that showed up and that showed up, but never the way you think it's going to, always greater.
I know.
And I get a question there. How did you
Yes.
end up in Bali? What are you doing there? Well, like I said, I was kind of done in Sweden. I was, stressing out at a full-time job in the middle of the center of Stockholm. I had my coaching business and I facilitated classes in something called Access Consciousness. And my life was just so busy, and so there was so much going on. Like sometimes I would be booked from like 8 in the morning to 10 at night. And it was fun for a while, but then I noticed that it was kind of becoming like a distraction in my life. And so I had a friend at the time that was coaching me once a month. And she started poking me a little bit about like where I wanted to go next and stuff like that. And it was kind of a process to get to that choice. Because, it's like, oh, where will I live? And it brings up so many doubts, like what will I do with all my stuff, apartment? There's so much things that comes up. But I kind of just was being with it in my world. And then I went to a horsebacking riding weekend with my friends, and I was out in nature and I was enjoying and I was nurturing my body. And then when I got back, I just started laughing because I was like, oh my God, it is just a choice to leave. And once I made the choice, everything appeared as if by magic. And I trusted whatever popped in my head. Like, now is the time to apply for visa. Now is the time to do this. Now is the time to do that. And so I told my job I wanted to quit, and they liked me so much that they actually offered me to work from a distance. So I do that now, 4 hours a day. I create conferences. I'm a project leader too. And so it's kind of amazing to have a job that pays whatever money I need. And then I have also my coaching business. So that's how I ended up in Bali. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, great.
So
Bali's a good,
Junaline, do you have any
yeah.
tips for people that are like pondering, because I have friends that have been talking about moving abroad for a long, long time, but they never seem to do it. And they actually
Uh-huh.
unfriended me on Facebook. They actually took me off of their mailing list because I think it brings up for so much for them to see me choosing it when they really would like to do it. So do you have any tips for choosing it? Even though you seem to have really much ease with it. Oh, okay.
Just,
Yeah.
just what I've done so far and what I'm still choosing to do is like, yeah, just choose it.
Yeah. And we get another question.
And you
How
know
do you,
what?
oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Like when you choose, it's like, okay. And you can ask the question, if I choose this, what will be my life be like in 5 years? And get the energy of that. If you expand, whatever feels light is true for you. And if you don't choose this, what would my life be like in 5 years? And get the energy of that too. Of course, before Access Consciousness, I did not do all that. I just relied on something else, like my intuition and my basic desire for what I would like to create in my life. But this is the energy of it. What is it that you would really like to create as your life? What would really make you happy? And what is going to be the contribution for you, your body, and the planet? Like, we have to remember that we're all interrelated and interconnected. So whatever choice you make affects the other, So, I mean, what contribution can we be to ourselves? First of all, to yourself, yes. Okay, let alone forget about everybody. Okay, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? If I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years? What will the planet be like? So you just get the energy. Whatever's light, true for you is light, and whatever's heavy is not true for you. It's really like this whispers of future possibilities that letting you know with ease by asking such questions. So it's like you can just start with that. And most people actually like second guess or doubt.
Yeah.
But first thought is God thought and no thought. Whatever comes to you, that is that energy that is actually telling you yes or no.
Yeah.
So that's it. Very simple. You just like ask, as you said,
Yeah.
as you should receive.
It seems like you're really amazing at following the energy and following what's true for you, because that's what you're doing when you're following what you were talking about, what's light. You're following what is true, real and true for you. And I think we all know what we're talking about. Even we might use different words like,
Yeah.
oh, you could do something, and afterwards you're like, oh shit, I knew I wouldn't go home and have sex with that guy, or I knew I wasn't going to take that job because I knew it was going to turn out like crap. And we just knew it, and we went there anyway. And it's the same thing with this. Like, we learn to trust our knowing and following the energy, and it's so nice because then we don't have to be up in our head doubting ourselves. We can actually just ask a question, get the awareness, and choose accordingly.
Because we're all energetic beings. It's so really like when you know.
Exactly. And how many people have said that to you guys? Like, oh, trust what you know that you know. Like, I was not brought up with that. I was brought up with like, do this, do that, or not trusting me at all,
Or asking everyone else's except your
yeah,
own.
trust everybody else. That's a big one. Yeah, trust everybody else.
Oh my goodness. I think we have a question. You want to
Yeah.
answer?
How do you both deal with visa issues? That is what holding me back. Yeah. And that's, once again, you're going to do what works for you, because I'm on a tourist visa so far that I'm just been extending. I started with a 60-day visa, and I am allowed to work online. I'm just not allowed to deal with Indonesian money and stuff like that. But I am going to have maybe I shouldn't talk too much depending on who's watching this. But basically, do what works for you, Stephanie, because of course, be aware of the rules and everything, but then again, trust what you know. That's all I'm going to say. What are you going to say, Junaline?
Well, visa issues. There was only one time that I had to deal with something like that when I was hired in Oman by a nonprofit there. So I always had to renew my visa. Like, I had to get out of the country and come back for at least like 6 months. For
Yeah.
6 months, it was like that at first, and then finally we settled it with the school and things like that. But I think, it depends on which country you're going to. It's good to like just find out what is their rules and regulations about visa and things like that. Yeah. So in Oman it was different, and of course, in my other jobs I was under like a work visa. Like I was a teacher in Japan, and in Mexico actually on a tourist visa for 2 months, so it's okay. But it was, yeah. So depending on which country you go to, just find out for sure what like the leeway is for visas and stuff. And in Lebanon, I am. When I first arrived here and when I wasn't married yet, I was also on a tourist visa and I would leave the country to come back.
Yeah.
But now it's very interesting for me actually. I have a spouse visa.
How long is that for?
Oh, that's what is funny, isn't it? 3 years. Every 3 years,
Oh,
it's like,
nice.
that does not mean your marriage is going to be over after 3 years.
Let's try this marriage thing for 3 years and see how it goes and go for there.
Yeah, but it's like, it's really kind of interesting how there's all kinds of visa, of course, depending on what you're planning to do in the country, and make sure you know the visa regulations in the country that you're going to.
Yeah, and I just realized I've done plenty of YouTube videos about this stuff, moving to another country and visa stuff. So
cool.
If you look up Pernilla Hermersson on YouTube, you will see like where I'm talking about moving to Bali and things like that. And another thing that I mentioned in that video was that there's always, like, if you're on Facebook, which pretty much everybody is, there's so many groups that you can look for. Like I am in a group called Swedish People in Bali. And so I would always ask there if I wasn't certain about things, and people would be so happy to contribute. So you can always just ask in the Facebook group and search for subjects too, if you don't want to post your own questions. So there's so many people that are willing to contribute, because I know it can be tricky, like, because I don't even understand the language sometimes, like what do they really mean with this and what visa should I choose and blah 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 blah. But it's nice when you can ask people, and it's also nice to connect with someone that is in the country that you're moving to, because I was moving to a house and renting from a Swedish guy, so I actually met him before, and he gave me all of these tips and stuff. So that's a tip too, to connect with someone that already lives there.
Great. So who else have joined us? Doreen is there.
Jennifer, hello.
And Jennifer, hello. Noura is there. I know Noura from the beginning. She was there. Cool.
Oh, it's a hot day in Bali. Even though the rain season has started, it was super hot today. So I'm like, whew, just kind of want to take my shirt off.
Great. Just wondering if any of you have any questions or sharings. You might want to just come on and talk about what it's like if you're an expat living abroad or wanting to go abroad to live there. Feel free to chime in and share anything.
Yay.
Anybody?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Jennifer.
How you doing?
Soul sister from another mother.
Yeah. No, I found this topic to be extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Simply because I'm in the United Arab Emirates and have lived before in Kuwait. So it's always been outside where it is that I'm originally from, which is India. And I missed the first part of the conversation, but I'd like to add, it's so essential for us to also get to know what the culture is, to get to understand what the language is, to really be able to connect and to stop the separation that we usually have. We get into a new country. So it's nice to be able to engage with people, to really be vulnerable enough to actually get to know what they are all about, so that we can actually interact and deal with them in a better way. So that's my 2 penny bit.
Awesome. What made you move there, Jennifer?
Well, I've been in the Middle East now for around about 40 years.
Wow.
I've been in Kuwait for 19, and in this place is now, I think it's more than that now, 25 years plus in this. So it's around about 45 years altogether.
Wow. And you never missed your India?
Not really, no.
No. You were just born in the wrong country. That's all.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Because, I mean, I've always been in the Middle East. I mean, and it's been fun for me. It has been something that is truly amazing. And being Dubai, we have close to 256 different nationalities.
Wow.
So you don't feel in an Arab country either, you know?
Yeah, it's very multicultural in Dubai.
Cosmopolitan, yeah.
Yeah, metropolitan.
Let's go there and visit.
People enjoy each other's companies. We've got the most amazing amount of different restaurants and different cuisines. So we actually are quite an international place to be in and to visit.
It's like a world in its own.
Yeah, it is.
It's a small world in Dubai. Yeah.
So Jennifer, do you have any tips on people that are like pondering moving to another country, but they might not have the courage, or do you have any tips on just how to get started?
I think the most essential part is to, first and foremost, it depends why it is that you would like to come here. If you're coming on a visit, then there's no issue whatsoever. Most of the countries around the world actually get a visa as soon as you enter the country at the airport. So the European Union, you have the Americas, you have UK, all these countries can actually get a visa at the airport.
Okay.
For work, and since I've been in the recruitment business, it is essential to first find out as to what it is that you would like to do and do a bit of research before you start coming in here on a visit and trying to look for a job. Because to start off a conversation, I think earlier on, prior to you coming here, always does help with what it is you're going to be able to get as a career that you would like to choose. So doing a bit of tips, find out, connecting with people on LinkedIn, getting to understand which companies it is that you would like to work for, as opposed to just landing up here and say, can I find a job? You know why I say that? Because I had
it's happened before.
Yes. No, I talk from personal experience, because when I came into the country, for the first time ever, I had to sit at home for 8 months. I couldn't find a job. Because everyone has different ways of saying, you have to do this, you have to do this. So before anyone lands up here, I think it will only be more valuable to them to do a bit of homework. First, identify what exactly it is that you'd like to do, which companies you'd like to work for, and actually get a little bit more clarity as to what you're going to contribute to the company and whether they're ready to receive it or not. So you could be doing something and they really don't, want any of those skill sets. So those kind of things I would actually advise people who are choosing to come here. Mostly people come to this country is because they're looking for work.
Yeah. Wow, now we get even expert advice from the recruiter herself. Thank you for that contribution.
I used to be in recruitment, helping people to get off the hamster wheel, to not wait to be the chosen one, but to choose who it is that you would like to work for.
Exactly. And create your own reality. Because I was like 9 to 5 for a year, and before that I was traveling a lot. But it's not really. It wasn't a contribution to me or my body to sit in front of a computer 8 hours a day, and I don't think that is for a lot of people. So it's like really about like, what do you want your reality to look like? What do you want to create in your life, and how do you want it? Like, how do you want it to be? Where do you want to be? Do you want it to be sunny? Do you want it to be snowy? There's so many little choices that you can make along the way to create something great. And I'm not like, oh, I'm in Bali and I'm just in my hammock. I'm like demanding it to get greater every day. And I'm so excited about the future because I know it keeps getting greater every day, and it's different phases. Like Bali was a little bit more, I've been a lot by myself, and then when I'm going to go to Australia, I'm going to have more friends, and I'm going to have the big city vibe, and that's going to be really good for me. But right now it's been great to just snuggle up and create with me and be with me. After that like long stressful job, it was cool to just read that by myself. And I do not miss that at all in Stockholm. It's like this hunt for success, and the stress overall. And when I'm here, Balinese people are so wonderful. They're like, hardworking, and they're interested and curious, and they're always so service minded, trying to like arrange everything for me. And and I asked a guy at a coffee shop, he started talking to me, and I'm like, so what do you do? And he's like, I do everything people are willing to pay for. And isn't
Brilliant.
and isn't
Be
that,
careful.
exactly. Isn't that an interesting point of view, that I do whatever you offer me money for? Like, if you want a driver, I can be that. If you want a tour guide, I can do that. And it's not this form and structure that we have in Sweden. Everything is really structured, and there's really a lot of rules and regulations. And don't you dare drive a taxi if you don't have a what do you call it? Like, of course, a driver license, but if you don't have a permit or whatever it is. So yeah, it's really different that way here.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is. It is nice. Actually, I like living in Asia.
Not as many people.
No form, no structure.
Yeah, and they're really good at living in the now. Yeah.
Yeah, like try living in Lebanon. I mean,
What's that like?
Try living in Lebanon. You never know what's going to happen in the country sometimes.
Right.
So we're on constant edge of our seat, but there's something exciting at the same time.
It's actually being on the creative edge of consciousness, babe.
Yes, creative edge of consciousness in Lebanon, in Beirut especially. But I mean, despite of all everybody saying, okay, what's going on and this and that, and people have this notion that to live in Lebanon is so dangerous. How many times have I gone through like the immigration in Canada when I go home, and like the immigration officer would be like saying something, are you there on a mission? Or like, no, I live there. I was like, oh God, yeah, like it's a war-torn country, isn't it? I said, no, I live there. And many times I've been mistaken for like a UN person. And my stamp is a Lebanese, stamp on my passport. So it's really, really interesting how, we choose where we make the most of our lives. Yeah, but yeah, Lebanon is definitely no form, no structure kind of country. Try driving in this country. It's a lot of fun. Next to India, by the way, Jennifer.
I mean, I've been to, the first time I remember after a very long time, I was almost with a cultural shock. It's like, Jesus, how do people actually operate on the roads? And it's so synchronistically organized. No one is killing each other. No one is walking over each other. No one's banging into each other. They just go with such synchronicity. It's amazing.
Yeah, really? I know.
It's the beauty of chaos, isn't it?
Total. And having fun with it too.
Yeah,
they just don't care, which is really cool.
That's so true. This flow, like it's what it is here too. And a lot of people drive Vespas here, so there's so many Vespas. And it's like if you're out on the street, you wouldn't know if it's like left or right traffic. It's just you drive on the side that's open and free, And in Sweden, when people honk, it's like they're fucking pissed off. You've done something wrong, and now I'm gonna honk at you. But in Bali, it's like, beep, beep, I'm here, be aware, beep, beep, I'm here. They can go up a hill and be like, beep, beep. And there's no feeling attached to it. It's just like like generous that it's contributing to the flow of the traffic. And it's so amazing to watch. Like you said, people are not really bumping into each other. From what I've seen. Of course they are, but it's a cool flow to be aware of.
Yeah, it's something else.
Really being kind and considerate to the other person when you go beep beep,
Yeah.
Beep, beep, you know, like,
Yeah, in Sweden it would be like this road race, like get off the road, you motherfucker! It would be crazy. Yeah.
Actually, the first thing I noticed when we moved to Canada when I was a kid, it's like, it's so quiet here. I said like this. I was a child, I'm like, why is it so quiet? Nobody's honking. You know, I came from Manila when I was a kid, and nobody's honking. And my aunt, who's been like a resident there for many years before we arrived, she said, actually, we don't honk here unless it's necessary. Oh, okay. I thought, what's the honk? It's like a really interesting point of view. It's like, we don't honk, it's necessary. While in like other parts of the world, like honking is like, it's a part of your car. It needs to be heard. You need to be heard. You need to know where you're going on your ride, like a honk and honk and honk, and you have to use your horn. So yeah, it's very interesting, a cultural kind of a cultural shock when I was a kid. So now I go back there, I hardly use my horn. I went back in the summer. I was so tempted to like just go like this for everyone. I've kind of like become a Lebanese driver, and I had to like, I felt like I have to honk at everything, you know, like, you know, but then I had to like watch. I'm like, okay, they're all quiet here, because they're going to swear at me if I honk at them. Like Canadians, they're so formal, you know. And then you come here in Lebanon, anything goes. You park anywhere, everywhere. You go this way, they go that way. It's okay. You're not gonna get caught. It's okay. Speed limit is very low. It's like an autobahn. You can drive any way you want. Yeah. So it's having fun with our problems in wherever we are.
Exactly.
Choice. Yeah, it's a choice. And I was second what you said earlier, Jennifer, about living in another culture. Like like before you got on, actually, I was saying also about getting to know the locals, like be with the locals, get to know the language, get to know the culture. I mean, it's just going to make your life easier, and the sense of belonging that you are there. It's not like you're going to be just a tourist for a long, long time, you know, like, okay, hi, hello, and I'm dropping by, you know, 5 years later, I still don't know anything about, you know, the culture. But yes, like be willing to explore like different paths, literally different paths of like the country, befriend people, locals, join organizations, clubs, meetups.
yeah.
Facebook is amazing. Actually, I made a lot of friends in Lebanon through Facebook. I had no friends when I arrived here. I started organizing spiritual cafes, which is like a portable cafe. We would ask people to host us in different homes.
Oh.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it's a potluck. I asked people, you know, we can just have a potluck party, and this is how I got to know people. Now, don't be fooled by the name Spiritual Cafe. We did not meditate or anything like that, or do all, you know, like hoo-hoo stuff. It's just the name, you know, because I don't know, it's kind of catchy, I guess. And we started doing that, me and my husband. This is how I met friends and later on clients and students, through this kind of very informal gatherings around Lebanon, because people started volunteering their homes.
How wonderful is that?
They like the idea. Yeah,
The generosity of spirit in the Arabian culture, like in Lebanon and places over here also in Dubai and in Kuwait, is phenomenal.
yeah, they'll open their homes.
Open up their doors, open up
Yeah.
their homes to you. And that's something that we really have got to acknowledge about this part of the world. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Here too. Like they will know my name at the restaurant, and they will know what I like, and they are just so quick. And another thing I've noticed is like they don't care that much about my story. Like they don't ask that much. They're not that interested in my story, but they are interested in like, what are you doing now? Or yeah, it's so easy to be with the locals I've met so far anyways. Really cool.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And when I used to actually, whenever I would, in the past, when I would plan to work in another country, I used to search for blogs, read up on blogs, on people's travel blogs and their experiences of living there. You know, different points of views, but hey, it's all cool. You know, so you get an insight on how they're living there as actually as expats or foreigners or whatever. So it's really nice to read blogs of people, like personal blogs. You know, before I went to Oman, I looked for blogs because I had no idea about the country at all, what it's like to live there. You know, I get like a travel and tourism information on the internet. So I thought, no, I'm gonna just start searching on you know, what people are writing about their lives in Oman. But now in Facebook and Instagram, there's all these groups now. You just type. It's just amazing. Thank goodness for Facebook. What a contribution.
Yeah. And I was just
Yeah.
going to say, thank God for the internet, because that makes me never miss home or anything, because I'm always caught up with what everybody's doing anyways. And so you can really be anywhere in the world and still feel connected with everything and everyone. And like you said, the groups, I already joined a group called Swedish People in Australia. So there's so many communities and places you can look, and blog is a great example of that. And yeah, there's always people willing to contribute and stuff you can look for online if you don't know people or things in the country you're going to.
There's a great I don't know, organization or club or whatever. It's called Internations. I don't know if you've heard of it, of your member. Internations is amazing. Internations is like active worldwide. And actually I joined an Internations Muscat when I used to live in Oman. How I met also other foreign people, but and anyway, it's like a great meetup place. And they have Internations for everywhere in the world. I'm sure they have Internations in Bali if you look it up.
Yeah, I saw
and
it.
you can get together. Yeah, you can get together. Internations in UK, Internations in I mean, we have Internations Beirut also. Yeah.
Wow.
And then it's like they have like a gathering. Whoever's the ambassador of Internations, they organize a gathering for people, for all the, you know, whatever, the foreign people and also the local people to get together.
Nice.
It's a good one, Internations, and you can find it on the internet, Internations.
Yeah. Maybe we'll send that with the link when we send out the recording.
Yeah, we'll send out a lot of some tips and
Tips and tricks.
tips and tricks and anything else in between.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun talking to you guys. Do you have any more questions before we jump off? And thank you, Junaline, for being so fun to
say hello. Say hello to everybody.
Yay.
Stephanie, Winda, Jennifer, Dale, Doreen, Nura, Karine.
Love this hangout. Hello, ladies. Yeah. Karine says hello. Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm excited to be here with you guys, and I'm excited for the future and what else is possible now. I'm
really excited. I'm really grateful for you, Pernilla, for this fun chat. It's, you know, it's something that a lot of people are actually interested in, and sometimes they don't know how to ask and how, you know, how to go about planning and you know, traveling or living abroad. So we are here, and some of you are there.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, let us know. Yeah.
Oh, Karine says yes. She's working.
Yeah. Well, we're happy you can join anyways.
Yeah.
And who knows? We might do another hangout if it's fun, if it's been fun for you guys. We might do a different theme or yeah, something like that.
I'd love to.
Oh, cool.
Let us know what it's going to be about.
These Zoom things are a lot of fun because we just chat.
Yeah, it's more
a nice virtual meetup, isn't it? And we get to see each other and meet each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
So great.
Some of us will be drinking wine. Some of us will be drinking coffee. Water.
Water.
Water. Yeah.
Yeah, you can drink whatever you like on our hangouts. Totally fine. No judgment here.
Yeah. What else? So, living abroad. What was it like first time for you there, Pernilla?
In Bali.
First day.
First day, I kind of woke up and I was like, wow! I woke up to an amazing, beautiful villa and I was so excited. And then after everything like laid down a little bit, I was like, I got to deal with all my expectations I had of what I was supposed to be doing in Bali, and I was dealing with all the expectations of other people, what they were thinking I should do and like in Bali. And I was like, do I go and do tourist stuff now, or do I go and work on my coaching business? I was like, it took a while to settle in and to kind of create a life here. In the beginning, you know, you feel like a tourist and you don't really know what you are or what you're doing there. And it's just an adventure, and you have to keep asking questions and what, like we talked, to follow what's right for you and what works for you and what makes you happy. So yeah, that's a bit of everything.
You will have a bit of everything when you move to another country. I mean, it's not all like, you know, all the time. It's, you know, we're all going to go through a lot of phases of, you know, of experiences and how we explore the country and things like that, or living in the country. So maybe that's something we can explore next time, how we dealt with our you know, because the honeymoon phase will be over by then.
Exactly. And I have another tip that I just realized, that back in Sweden, Tinder is more like a dating app. Like if you
yes, I heard about that.
But like here, a lot of people are on Tinder because they want to have travel buddies. They want to adventure with people. They want to have a drink with someone, or just go on a journey or something. So in the beginning, I actually met some people on Tinder. So that's a tip to meet new people.
Yeah, Tinder. That's good.
Yeah. Free app you can have on your phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yay. Well, thank you, everybody. If you don't have any more questions, we will send out the recording soon. And
there you go. Karine has a question. Karine.
Oh, thank you.
She says, how much did it take you to understand language?
Yeah. Do you understand the language in your country, Junaline?
Me?
Yeah.
Because you know what? I studied many languages. Arabic is not coming properly in my head, but I do understand and I get it. How much did it take me to understand it? How much time? Well, actually now it's happening by osmosis, but just at first I had to study. I studied it for a short time, the language, yeah. But when I lived in other countries, I also studied while I was living there. And it's very important when you're living in the country, a foreign country, that you learn the language.
Yeah.
Even the basics, even just the basic. For me, the basic is enough. And luckily, in Lebanon, they speak English, and I conduct all my work in English. So.
Yeah, I only been there since the end of July, so I do not speak Indonesian just yet, but I'm curious to learn a little bit more, and I know I'm not going to be here forever, and they do speak English here too, so I have not had any troubles with the language. My landlord in my other house didn't speak any English at all almost, and he was like my driver, and we were laughing, and like you said, language wasn't even really an issue between us. So what if it's not such a big deal after all, and you can always be understood in some way?
Exactly. Yes.
You said we're energetic beings, so energy is our first language, really.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Winda, for coming on.
Yeah, from Jakarta.
Apa kabar? Thank you very much. What would it take to visit Jakarta again?
Yeah.
And yes, thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Karine. I know your dialect, your Lebanese dialect is different.
To share about language.
Come on. Yes, come on then, Jennifer.
It was really interesting. When I went to Kuwait, of course, I didn't have a clue of what Arabic was. And at that time, it was really way back, but the only thing that we used to have on television was Arabic movies, right? So I used to sit and watch. There were no subtitles, right? Only Arabic language was being spoken. And I used to actually sit very intently and watch what people were saying and how they were reacting, etc., etc. And that's how I learned Arabic.
Cool. That's a fun way to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, It was actually seeing their body language, how they were reacting to certain situations, and how they were repeating the same things, the same words as they were, speaking, and they were acting. And I said, and then I used to ask my father, fluent in Arabic. So I'm going to actually have a test with you. And I was to go and say, right, these are the words that I heard today. Now you tell me if I'm using them correctly. And he would say, yeah, you're doing a good job, Carry on watching TV.
Wow, very
Hey.
productive.
Yeah. And that's how I learned French too, was watching television.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to actually be able to study the body language and to hear people speak. And when you can make a connection with that, it's phenomenal.
There's your language. Yeah. Yeah. Music is good too. Singing a song in another language. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I studied Spanish. That's how I learned Spanish.
Nice.
Next time, can we have a bit of your singing talent as well?
Yay! Let's do that.
Who's?
I think it's a really cool thing.
Junaline is going to perform next time.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to start practicing.
Yeah. Until next time.
Until next time. Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll send out the recording and let you know if we do another hangout soon.
Thank you for coming on. Like, it was really just a lot of fun just chatting with you all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. All right.
Bye.